Welcome to Destination Deanna. I'm Deanna, love guide to all and kept wife strategist to the women I'm called to serve. Please consider my channel your self-help learning library for love. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time for our weekly coaching gem, where I give guidance to elevate your love experience. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m., tune in for Sounds About Wife, where I give my unique wife perspective and prepare professional women like you to become kept wives. So hit that subscribe button and let's start this love journey together. See you soon, my loves. Welcome, Kepties. You have now entered the Keptieverse. Hi, I'm Deanna, Kept Wife Strategist, and welcome to the first episode of Sounds About Wife. Listen, how did we get here? How did we get here? We got here because I've been going live on YouTube for a little over 2.5 years. And I have been teaching and preaching and really just pouring my heart out. But you know what I got tired of doing? What I got tired of doing is giving disclaimers about what I'm not saying, who I'm not talking to, all of that. I really got so tired of doing that. So much so that I prayed about it and I said, God, what am I going to do? I don't want to stop going live. I don't want to stop giving value, but I really just want to hone in on my particular audience, right? My Kepties, not my besties, my Kepties. So that's what brought about Sounds About Wife. Okay. That is what brought about it. Here, every Wednesday at 1 p.m., Sounds About Wife is for kept wives and aspiring kept wives, affectionately known as my Kepties. So we are only going to talk about the topics that are going to get you prepared for captivity. Okay, so I'm not apologizing for talking about wealth and provision and calling men keepers, and I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm not addressing any of that. So I see people are already checking in into the chat. Hey, Alice, one of my Kepties. Oh, and my amazing husband, Will, for those who don't know, King Keeper. Thank you so much for supporting, honey. I know you have a really busy day, so thank you for being here. So today's topic, right? I've gotten the Keptie welcome out, right? We're all feeling welcome. We know what we're doing here. We know what we're going to be discussing, right? So first, I'm going to start off with my treasure, right? I'm affectionately, mistaken for a gold digger all the time. So I figured embrace it, right? And I'm just going to share my treasure. So what brought about the topic today, which is married versus unmarried mindsets. That's our topic for today. And what brought about it? Well, I've been in these internet streets just observing, seeing the conversations that are going on. And a lot of the conversations about relationships and dating and marriage, there's like this great divide, right? And the divide is the mindset. That is the divide. I mean, we can talk all day about 50-50 and different ways that you could organize a relationship and all of those things. However, it really just comes down to mindset. And the mindset is married versus the unmarried. So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? And my treasure, I wanted to share a little story, right? So when me and my keeper, Will, my husband, were engaged, I have locks, but I also have to go to the barbershop because I have the sides of my head shaved. It's kind of a cool thing. Me and my son used to go, but when I got engaged to Will, we started going together as a family. And one day we were going to the barbershop and, I'm getting dressed like I normally do. Listen, I'm usually in dresses. I don't really like pants unless it's a functional thing. I'm going to the gym. I'm like running errands and I'm going to have to be like bending and doing sorts of things like that. But in my everyday life, I love to wear dresses. I love flow. Okay, that's me. So we're going to the barbershop and I'm getting dressed and Will makes a comment about like, you're going to wear that? And I'm like, yeah, don't I look nice? And he's like, of course, you always look nice, but we're going to the barbershop. Dress is a little attention giddy. And I'm like, like, I'm not looking for attention. This is just what I like to wear. And I was like, this is what I'm wearing. So he was like, okay, I think you could wear something that covers up a little bit more, but, have at it. We kind of leave it alone. We go about our day, we go to the barbershop, we have a good time, all of that. Now, one thing about being a kept wife who is not only just kept by her husband, but ultimately kept by her relationship with God. That's me, right? The Holy Spirit starts talking to me and is literally like, you need to listen to him. He's not controlling you. This is for your protection. You need to listen to him. Things are changing. You're not by yourself. And I was so resistant to that. Like, ain't nobody gonna tell me how I'm supposed to dress. Like, I know how to dress. I can pick out an outfit. I know what, right? All of that. But I sat with that thought and I'm like, he didn't give me a hard time about it. It didn't cause a fight. Like, he politely just made a suggestion. He never suggests anything that isn't for my benefit. Why am I fighting this? And now that I'm looking back on it, it was literally me clinging to that unmarried single mindset, right? Whatever I want to do, whatever I want to wear. Like, no one should be telling me what to do. Like, I'm grown. That was an unmarried mindset, right? So that kind of sparked my thought about this conversation. Can anybody relate to that? Has anybody felt kind of that still just trying to cling to your sense of self, your singlehood? Yeah. I'm sorry, I was missing the comments, but yes, Kala, captivity. Everything is kept life, okay? Yes, thank you, honey. I know you always hear from me. Oh, thank you, Alice. I'll try to keep up a little bit better with the comments. So that's what we're talking about, right? Married versus unmarried. And let me just give you some words to think about that usually come up when we're talking about these different mindsets, right? We often hear control versus prevention. We hear restriction versus protection. We hear rules versus guidelines. We hear limitations versus boundaries. We hear permission versus consideration. So today's treasure, and again, since we get mistaken for gold diggers, on Monday, I give the gems. On Wednesday, we do the treasure, okay? So today's treasure is the key differences between an unmarried and married mindset often just revolve around one's approach to relationships, responsibilities, and long-term commitment. So I'm going to break down, and I have 7 examples. So if you were going to take notes, now would be the time to take a look at that. And let me check the comments before I get into it. Sorry, guys, I have a new laptop. I'm really trying to get used to this. Yep, and I know a few others. Yep. Yes, the God captivity. I will not forget that, honey. I will absolutely not forget the God captivity. All right, so let's get to, So today's treasure. Number 1, when it comes to unmarried versus married mindset, it's usually individual versus partnership focused. So an unmarried mindset is going to emphasize on individual goals, right? Independence, self-sufficiency, right? Decisions are made primarily based on personal needs and desires. Whereas the married mindset, which is more focused on partnership, it's going to prioritize the partnership and collaboration. We come together. We think of these things together. Decisions are made considering the well-being of both partners and the relationships as a whole. Okay, that's number one. Number two is a major difference is short-term versus long-term thinking. So an unmarried mindset is going to be focused more on like the present, the immediate future, immediate gain, right? Often with the mindset of seeing where things go, right? We don't have to solidify anything. We can see where this goes, right? The relationship is usually more flexible, less defined, right? Now, when it comes to the married mindset, it's centered on long-term planning, building a life together. The focus shifts to stability, future goals, and creating a shared vision. So that's the difference. Short-term and long-term thinking. Which one do you want? Right? If you're here, you're a Keptie. You're with the married mindset. And if you haven't been operating in that way, that's why you're here, so that you can, right? The next one is autonomy versus interdependence. So unmarried mindset values personal autonomy and freedom, right? There's often a desire to maintain like independence, having separate this, separate that, an identity outside of the relationship, completely separate, not thinking about it, right? Now, a married mindset is going to embrace interdependence. Like, of course, we're individuals. Of course, we might have individual things, but it still fits in to our partnership, right? Partners rely on each other for support. And there's a greater sense of unity and shared responsibility. The next one is casual versus committed investment. So for the unmarried mindset, it's going to be relationships maybe more casual and exploratory. We don't have to define this. We don't need titles. We can just take it as it comes, right? There's a focus more on compatibility and personal fulfillment. What do I get out of this, right? How is this benefiting me? What do I like that they do for me, right? And there is less pressure to invest, less pressure. Now, married mindset, this involves a deeper commitment and investment in the relationship's success. So both of you are going to be giving of your time, of your energy, of your resources, because you are thinking about your future that you're building together, right? Both partners are more likely to work through challenges and prioritize the marriage, right? So they're not looking at individual gains and opportunities in silos. They take those things in, but they consider, how is this going to impact our union, us together, right? Next, number 5 is self-care versus mutual care. So I know there's been so much talk about this, but the unmarried mindset, it's going to focus solely on self-care for self-preservation, right? Ensuring one's own needs are met, sometimes at the expense of the relationship, because what matters is just self. Now, with a married mindset, you shift towards mutual care. So both of you individually have self-care. It's important, but both partners prioritize each other's needs and well-being alongside their own, not in place of. So I'm not saying that, in marital mindset and unions that you negate anything self. No, self is just part of the whole, and you think about it that way, right? Number 6 is the difference is usually optional versus obligatory. So, an unmarried mindset, they're usually going to see the relationship roles as more fluid, optional. If they show up, they show up. If they can help, they help. It's cool. If not, cool. There's a sense of I can leave. I can leave if it doesn't work out, right? I'm not tied down to this. I don't like it. I can just stop investing. We can just stop dealing with each other. Whereas the married mindset, they understand the roles within the relationship as more defined and obligatory. I'm obligated to you, you're obligated to me. But it's our choice. We've chosen to do this. And there's a stronger sense of duty, commitment to the relationship, its longevity, and its success, right? And the final one, I kind of mentioned this a little bit. The final one is control versus proactive protection and prevention. And that's when all of these discussions, I gave the example, like someone who had a unmarried mindset would have said to me, oh, you should be able to wear whatever you want. He shouldn't tell you what to wear. You're grown. They would have hopped on that bandwagon with me, right? But a married mindset is going to say, well, that is your partner. His comfort matters, and he obviously said it for a reason. You should consider that, at least explore it further, right? You see the difference? Many things will be seen from an unmarried mindset as control, whereas in marriage or with a married mindset, it literally is thinking about preventing issues, preventing unwanted attention, preventing the need to have to remind them you might have been unsaved at a point, right? That's what you're thinking about when you have the married mindset, right? So these differences highlight the evolution from a more self-focused approach to relationships to one that is rooted in partnership. And if your desire is to be a wife, and more specifically a kept one, your mindset has to shift. It has to be different. So that's the Keptie lens, right? We know that we are set apart. We are set apart. We are not commoners. And for those who are new here and just discovering me, I call the masses, the regulars, commoners. What they're doing is common. They're doing what everybody is doing. They're doing what's popular. We don't do that here. We are set apart. We do things differently, right? God is the source. God is our main person that we're looking towards. And we want to be pleasing to God. And God's way is different, right? The masses aren't following it. So keep in mind that that's the Keptie lens. We are not commoners. So the things that you're thinking about, the things that you're doing to up-level yourself, you might not find a bunch of people to agree with it. Your timeline may not have a bunch of people saying the same things as you until you do that cleanup. Maybe you get inside my premium coaching community and you're only filled with women who believe the same thing and who are doing this work. But you have to keep that front of mind, right? That it may not be the popular thing. It may not be what people are repeating, but we're going to keep the Keptie lens, right? We're going to get used to having the different outlook. So we are adapting the married mindset. So now I'm just going to open it up a little bit for Keptie chatter. This is where you can ask your questions. You can make your comments. I'll take a look at the comments and see if there's anything you have to say about the discussion. So think about the differences in mindset. What have you observed? What has come up for you during your process where you're seeing, oh, I'm not thinking like that, or that doesn't agree, or here's an area that I need to change. Let's have a little bit of chit chat about it. Yeah, respect your partner's feelings. That's so important. That's definitely one that I think is a key difference, because what you'll hear people say is like, oh, you should be able to do what you want, or they'll use the blanket of insecurity. That's my favorite. Oh, he's just insecure because of that. No, when you're a kept wife, your husband has made vast investments, right? And where your treasure is, your heart is also. So if a man is heavily invested in you, he cares about you. He cares about the environments you're in. He cares about how people view you. He cares about how people are going to talk to you and about you. So, yeah, you can want to do a certain one too. And that might have been cool when you were unmarried or single. But if you are desiring to move into marriage, you got to start moving like that before it happens. Because the Bible even says it. He who finds a wife, not finds a girlfriend with potential, finds a beautiful woman that could be a wife. No, finds a wife, which means you already have to be wifing. Yes, Alice, that's it. It's protection. And I mean, that's why I shared this story, because at the time, I didn't necessarily think it was protection. I thought, here we go. Like, he's trying to control me. He's going to change me. Like, that was my immediate, but that's because I was holding on to an unmarried mindset. I was not considering, oh, this man is about to be my husband. He doesn't want anyone looking at me thinking I'm available. He doesn't want anyone seeing me and being able to lust after me. So it's one thing to be dressed nice and maybe there's a little cleavage or a little leg or whatever, but look like a wife. You're a wife. Look like one, right? We gotta start bringing the modesty back. So I don't see any questions. That means that you all took great notes. This is a great lesson. So here is your Keptie consideration. And I'm going to give this every week because I want you to start leaving this lesson and considering something for yourself. How do you apply this to yourself? How do you look at your own life so that you can actually start making changes and seeing a difference, right? We want to get you closer to captivity, okay? So for the Keptie consideration, here's your question. How would your thoughts, speech, deeds, attire, and overall presence impact a union? I'm gonna put it on the screen. That's how you're going to prepare to be a kept wife. You are going to start considering this stuff now. So how would your thoughts, speech, deeds, attire, and overall presence impact a union as you are now? And be honest about it, right? So that's what I want you to think for your Keptie consideration. And now I'm going to leave you with the Keptie strategy, because I am the Kept Wife Strategist. So take all of this into consideration, right? And I want you to shift your attention and actions to partnership. As you're going through your day, as you're picking out your clothes, as you are interacting with people, shift your attention and actions to partnership, right? You want to govern yourself like a wife before you become one. And the elevation to wife will be inevitable. And the transition will be smoother because you've already been doing it. It's not going to be a shock to your system, right? You're starting to move into that role now. You're getting comfortable now. You're thinking that way now. You're speaking that way now. You're dressing that way now. And you all know, like, I'm a master of the laws of attraction. And this is one of those things. Like, the present needs to be perfect. How things are now. You need to look at it and make your now reality present and perfect. Then it will be the future that you desire. It will morph into that. It will attract that to you. So That was our first episode of Sounds About Wife. I'm so glad that you all tuned in. If you're just tuning in now, go back, watch the replay. Remember the hashtag replay to let me know that you were here. I am Deanna, the Kept Wife Strategist. And remember, kept wives are prepared women. And in order to prepare properly, you need a strategy. So come to the Kept Wife Strategist. All right. See you next week.